What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Catch the Blitz show. It's been a long time coming, but nevertheless, here we are, Thomas Pockernick and Christian Catenacci, of course. What's going on, Kat? How are you?
Man, I'm excited for this. It's been, about a year and a half since we started talking about this, and then we're finally excited to get it going. We've had this plan for, like I said, literally over a year, I want to say. And then we sort of got it into action. COVID delayed it all. But I couldn't be more excited to be here.
Yeah, you're like, I think the big thing was we wanted to do it the right way.
Yes.
I think we didn't want to just start a podcast and do whatever. So, we put together a bit of a setup and little mini studio here, and we're going to try this out every Monday. We're going to start pumping out a lot more YouTube videos, which I think is going to be something new for us, a new challenge, and something that a lot of our followers are going to enjoy. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, in terms of the podcast, like I'll be completely honest. That little hype video we put out, the little tease of the studio, I've probably watched that like 200 times.
Oh, absolutely. And even my buddies too. Like, how many people sent messages to me saying like, "Oh, it got me goosebumps," and right. I like hearing that. I know you probably like hearing that as well, because it shows that like people were expecting this for such a long time, just like how we were so excited to do it. But yeah, you did such a good job with that video, and it was literally incredible. Can't wait to get this going. Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. We're gonna get on the mic here every Monday, fresh off of a Sunday action, and we're going to break down everything that happened, because it was a pretty crazy week 6, and I know I have a lot to say, and I'm sure you do as well. But before we get into that, everyone knows us as Catch the Blitz, of course, from following our Instagram. Everyone sees our news, our content, but I feel like people don't really know us.
Yeah.
I think this podcast is going to be a great opportunity for them to see a different side of us. But quickly, I just think off the start, a little bit about the both of us and kind of, our story with Catch the Blitz, what we do, how we got here, honestly, because it's been a pretty wild journey. What are we, almost 4 years now?
4 years. It was September 2017. So that's 4 years.
I think that's when you started. You brought me on the year after. I think it was 2018.
Was it just about a year through? Yes. So yeah, I brought you. Long story short, Catch the Blitz was actually a podcast. That was what I started it as.
We're just coming full circle now. 4 years later.
Really. It started as a podcast. I did it on SoundCloud. And at school, we had Spirit Live Radio.
Yeah.
So I did that with my buddy, Daniel Pignataro. And that was Tuesday nights, or whatever, right? And I saw Thomas, you did something else on Instagram, and I always wanted to like cover news and sort of do the whole graphic route, put my opinions out, but like also educate people, right? So I thought it would be cool. I saw Thomas doing all this hard work, and I asked him. Thomas and I, first off, we go way back. We're family friends. Our parents know each other. Our brothers played hockey together. So yeah, I contacted you. It was literally like a year into Catch the Blitz, and I'm like, Thomas, like, if you're gonna do this, like, let's just do it together. You offer something I clearly can't do with graphics and stuff. So we made a good team, and here we are today, literally coming full circle from a podcast show to now a pretty big Instagram page, I like to say, and then making full circle, like Thomas said. We want to really take the YouTube game up a notch and go from there.
Yeah, hopefully we can get back into the podcast game. You brought me on, like you said, graphics guy. I'll also kind of segue with this. Yesterday, I was actually talking with a buddy of mine, and he was saying to me, because I'll be very honest, I'm in one fantasy league, and my team is just doing brutal. And so many people ask me, you spend all day long, which is true, literally 7 days a week, reading about football, working on football content for the Instagram, writing about football, and my team is struggling. And they go, if you know so much about football, how are you so bad in fantasy? So there's this ongoing joke that I'm only a part of Catch the Blitz because I know how to do Photoshop and I know nothing about football. But yeah, graphics is kind of been always my role, and it was something that I had, if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be on Photoshop all day, I would have laughed. Like it just happened.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride. Yeah, a little bit more. Let everyone know your bias that you're going to be bringing on this show every week.
Obviously, I'm a Cowboy fan. If people recognize me in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be a fair share of you guys. Before I get into that, I don't want you to sell yourself short because you are a brilliant football mind. And if you weren't, this wouldn't work. He's good at graphics, don't get me wrong. Maybe better at graphics than he is at football talk, but we'll figure it out. We'll get better on the show. But yeah, man, my Cowboys, don't worry. We're going to get ahead. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we'll talk later on in the show. Just know I'm going to try and keep my bias at a minimum.
Yeah. He definitely never does that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that Cowboy talk. I know you guys hate it. The Cowboy fans are going to love it. Believe me, I'm going to love it too. Because last year was a struggle for me to get through. So I think I've earned the right to be somewhat confident and let you guys know how I'm feeling on a weekly basis. But yeah, feel free. And don't forget it. If I want to see so many people. I love when people comment back and get mad at me for saying stuff. Don't worry. If the Cowboys lose, you guys can come at me, attack me all you want. Because when they win, you won't hear the end of it. That's for sure.
Oh gosh. And this comes a year. Like, why couldn't we have done this podcast a year ago? Because it's at the point where I'm almost too embarrassed to say the team I support. Live on here because it's been 5 hard Sundays in a row. Yesterday, and this says a lot because I followed this team since I was 6-7 years old, and I've never seen them even win a playoff game. I've only seen them play in one playoff game. It's the Miami Dolphins, man, and I think we might as well just jump into the first topic because we're going to talk about that. New low for the Dolphins, new low for me yesterday. Wake up early. I kind of enjoyed the Dolphins playing and nobody else was playing because I didn't have to worry about any other games. Just kind of got to sit and watch, but I did not get to enjoy it because it was probably one of the most humiliating defeats, at least in my memory. I mean, I'd rather, a couple years ago, we lost in week 1, I think 59-0 to Baltimore. I think I'd rather take that loss than having to watch what went down yesterday. It was, oh my goodness.
20 in a row for Jacksonville.
Yeah, and of course it's us that has to give them that.
I sent him a message yesterday. He can back me up on this. I said, I have a weird feeling that Miami's going to lose tomorrow. And sure, call it what you want. I didn't think it was like that bold to say, given the spread. It was like 3.5. But I didn't think Miami was going to lose the way that they did. Right? Like, yeah. I obviously it was a close game. They won by a field goal, but like that game had potential to be like a double-digit loss for Miami, just given.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, if anything, we should have been up big in the first half. We let them hang around. Absolutely. We were terrible in the red zone.
For sure.
Like, we dominated time of possession. I think we had double or triple their plays at one point in the first half. But yeah, I mean, you were enjoying that victory. You predicted the score right too.
Exactly.
23-20.
23-20.
And then you get ripped on. I mean, I did too, especially the bold predictions.
Yeah.
So when we get one,
we
make sure we really enjoy it. But yeah, it was just I don't know, to lose to Jacksonville. I spent the last 4 weeks watching Jacoby Brissett in at quarterback, and he's a serviceable backup, but he's not Tua. So much anticipation for him to come back yesterday. And honestly, this could be my bias talking. I want to hear your take. The end result of the game was overshadowed by that one terrible, and I mean terrible, inexcusable interception. You cannot throw that pass if you want to be a long-time starting quarterback and a successful quarterback in the NFL. But I thought he had a really good game.
I want to say he did. I think he played solid. Outside of that pick, maybe a couple other plays. I remember they were driving that one. It was the first half, and on third down, he could have run
easy run for the
right. Exactly, down, yeah. But like I said, you also have to cut the guy some slack. Like, he's 13 games into his career.
He's technically still a rookie by those standards. He's playing with broken ribs.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, the circumstances obviously aren't up to par, and the team hasn't been. I don't think the team has been doing Tua any favors since stepping into the league. Obviously, there was this hype around Miami. Oh, Miami's going to take the jump next year, and then he gets hurt week 2, and then here we are. You're 1-5 going into week 7, and you look at Miami. I see a team that has some serious decisions to make, and I hate to say it because, like you said, Tua, technically, by definition, he's still a rookie quarterback, right?
With how many starts he has under his belt.
He's 13 games in, right? 16-game regular season, now 17. It's hard to say, oh, it's Tua, oh, it's this. I guess the easy guy to give the short end of the staff is Flores, because he came in as this coach, Belichick, right? He even showed so much promise. And then ever since then, he's like, even last week, he had, you could realistically say he got outcoached by
100%. It was outcoached
by Urban Meyer, who, don't get me wrong, Urban Meyer was a successful college coach, but he showed nothing up until yesterday.
I'm surprised he was even still their coach yesterday. I'm surprised he didn't get fired by
right. I was telling Thomas, I was like, I think we have to get something ready because, like, I think Urban Meyers might get fired, right? And this is what last week, and then fast forward 7. That's how shows you how fast things change in the NFL. And fast forward 7-8 days, maybe 2 weeks, whatever it was, and boom, he has his first NFL win against Brian Flores, who was a Coach of the Year candidate literally a year ago.
Yeah, and if they make the playoffs, I mean, Stefanski had a great season, turned the Browns around. If he made the playoffs last year with the Dolphins, I genuinely think he had a really good chance to win that award. And that's the frustrating part, is Miami's just been so mediocre for so long. And I guess you can call it the Marino curse. They haven't been able to find a long-term solution at the quarterback position. It seems like they still don't know whether Tua's the guy or not. And it's so disappointing because for so many years, Dolphins fans have been starved for a team that's capable of winning. And it's just been rebuild after rebuild. And this one in particular hurts the most because it was such a big tank and such a big pool of draft capital and high picks, and it just feels like they've taken one step forward and 2 steps back because they're clearly not a team that's ready to compete. Yeah, they might be the worst team in the NFL the way they've been playing recently. It's just a complete disaster, and obviously you have to look to the front office, Chris Greer, who's sort of gone all in on this rebuild.
Absolutely.
And I'm not a big guy to bail on draft picks within the first. I mean, for example, look at Mike Williams this season. How long ago was that guy picked 5th, 6th overall in the season he's having?
Absolutely.
Sometimes some guys take longer than others.
For sure.
But it just feels like nothing's gone Miami's way and nothing's gone to plan.
I want to say, obviously, look at Chris Greer and they had this massive rebuild. Like you say, you had a boatload of picks, and there was so much hype around Tua to Miami, Alabama. There was so much hype. I don't even think he did that bad of a job in the sense that, look, you had Tua. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. You look back, you say, oh, they should have took Herbert. There's probably, if you take 100 people at the time, maybe 95% of them was saying take Tua. The odd 5 were taking Herbert. So you can't go back and say, oh, we should have took Herbert. I don't think that's fair because at the time, obviously, Tua was national championship winner. Justin Herbert was a kid from Oregon who looked to have peaked in his junior year, goes back for his senior year, was like underwhelming. I don't want to say he was bad by any means, but it's not fair to criticize because, like I said, hindsight's 20/20. Where I think Miami went wrong was I look back to last year, and it sticks up like a sore thumb. You traded your future first-round pick to go back up in the first round and select Waddle. Waddle's a great player. I want to set the record straight right now. You saw it yesterday. I don't even want to call him a receiver because he's an offensive weapon. That's what he is. He fits the modern-day type of receiver that these genius offensive coordinators, he's a guy that you want to get the ball in his hands. You saw it yesterday. 2 touchdowns on what? He had like 8 touches, 9 touches.
Yeah, maybe even more. He was
right.
They finally used him, yeah.
Exactly. You finally gave him the ball and you saw what happened. Regardless, like I'm saying, what's the next play for Miami? They have no first-round pick.
Well, we have the 49ers pick, but it's not going to be till, it looks like it's not going to be till later.
But I'm saying they have that third. Yeah. They have that third.
Our first pick is going to the Eagles.
It's a 3rd overall pick right now. Yeah. And what does that say to me? That creates more panic than than the record says. Because if like I said, if it's any other year, you sit down with the coach, with the team, with the head office, and you say, look, guys, you don't want us to tell the team to tank because players are playing on contracts, and I'm a firm believer that you have to build that locker room and you have to build that winning mentality, and it comes from giving it your all week in, week out. However, when Miami goes to work this morning, that front office, they sit down for their meetings, their morning meetings, they're saying to themselves, where are we going from here? We don't have our third overall pick. We're 1-5, and the schedule does not get like they got to go to Buffalo, they got to go to Baltimore, they got to go to Carolina still. They face New Orleans, Tennessee, and they still got to play a game against New England, who looks to be improving week to week. Right? Like, where does the season go? How do they change course? Because I think that not having that elite draft pick that's in the hands of Philadelphia is creating more panic than people would think.
It's so crazy when you list off that schedule, because going into the season, I looked at so many of those games, and they felt winnable, just where I felt this roster was at, how the team performed last year, and now it's just like, where are we going to get our next win? Atlanta's next week, Houston's in a couple, but I mean, we can't even beat Jacksonville. I don't know how this is going to go, and you mentioned direction. You can't just blow everything up and start another rebuild. But at the same time, are they going to commit to Tua? I mean, Deshaun Watson's sitting there. Obviously, the legal issues, he's still dealing with them. Who knows what's going to happen with the NFL? But do you think they're going to actually pull the plug? It's been teased in the media for so long. Deshaun Watson has said Miami's his preferred destination. If he watched, I hope he didn't watch yesterday's game, because he might be changing his mind pretty soon. But right, it still feels like that's getting certainly a lot of buzz. Like I said, I thought Tua played really well yesterday. The interception was costly, but I thought he redeemed himself with a 90-yard drive 5 minutes later. He's young. He's learning. I see a lot of potential in him. Do I see a Josh Allen ceiling? Do I see a Justin Herbert ceiling? You know, that's where you have to be to beat. It kind of sounds silly now saying beat the Chiefs, beat the Patrick Mahomes based on how the first 6 weeks of the season goes, but I still believe that they're the level that you have to sort of be at.
Absolutely.
To get to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Do I see that ceiling? No, but if you asked someone in Josh Allen's second year, a lot of quarterbacks don't really figure it out till later on. I just think that the whole early success of Mahomes, the whole early success of Herbert has just rushed the process.
Yep.
And it's hurting the league with how great these guys have been. Crazy to say. But yeah, Deshaun Watson, is that...
I look at that, and it goes back to say, first off, I'm not one to say, oh, Tua is a bust, Tua is a bust, Tua is a bust. Look, guys, like Thomas said, he's literally 13 games into his career. However, this is a very unique circumstance. There's no... If it's any other team that has that third overall pick and they're looking at Tua, they're going to give Tua the year, right? Give him some time. Let's see. He's coming off of a rib injury. He's only started 13 games. There's no sense of urgency and no sense of panic. But when it comes to there's jobs on the line now. Like, there's no doubt about it. Brian Flores is on the hot seat.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Chris Greer could very well be on the hot seat.
He's definitely on the hot seat.
Right? So, look, Tua, I hate saying it, but it's a business, guys. When there's fire in the streets, when there's a fire in a house, you're not going to be looking for the buddy that's next to you. I hate to say it. You're going to be fighting for yourself. And Flores and Chris Greer are looking at it right now, and they're saying, look, how do we change course? Because if this season continues to come and it continues to trend in the direction that it's going, me and you could be both going to Jacksonville saying, Jacksonville, hire me, right? And that's not a good look. So goes back to our point. Deshaun Watson sitting right there. But one, what could Miami offer? Because obviously you have to give them sort of, it's Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson. Like, he's a top 5 quarterback, legal issues aside, which is obviously a risk. So maybe you can get a little bit of a discount. But then you got to ask yourself, how much better does Deshaun Watson make this team right now?
I mean, like, I've been harping on yesterday, quarterback wasn't the problem. So does Deshaun Watson really solve this team's issues with how they're playing right now? I wish I had an answer for you. But if you put Deshaun Watson on the team that I saw last year, I mean, there you go. They're Super Bowl contenders. And I think that's why, like you said, it is a very, very interesting situation. And Chris Greer with a job in the line, what saves you? I mean,
exactly.
we've all seen draft day. The owner calls up Sonny Weaver Jr. and says, Sonny, I need you to make a splash. Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross. First of all, I've never seen a more patient 80-year-old man in my life, because it seems like there's no rush on winning for that guy. Maybe he's trusting the process. I don't know, but it's just a complete disaster for Miami after they built quite a bit of momentum the past 2 seasons, and I think that's why it's such a gut punch. And I mean, we're at the point where you're right, jobs are on the line, and something's got to change. And who knows with Watson? I mean, it's been lingering for, 6-7 months now, his name being thrown and teased to Miami. So who knows? Maybe a couple Mondays from now, we're both sitting here, and instead of the neon sign that we have up there, I got a Miami Dolphins Deshaun Watson jersey.
Yeah. Hey, that'll look pretty nice.
We got to get some jerseys up here to decorate the studio a little bit more. We'll see.
Yeah. It'll look different as we continue to go on, for sure.
All right, let's shift gears to something a little bit more positive, and you'll enjoy this topic of discussion for sure, because our two teams have complete opposite records, complete opposite feelings around the fan base. Cowboys have won 5 in a row. Is that right? Dolphins have lost 5 in a row. It's just literally
polar opposites.
Polar opposite. Yep. Cowboys, dramatic win yesterday in overtime over Mac Jones and Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. 5 in a row. It's I got to say it's really impressive. You've had some hard days as a Cowboy fan as well, but I don't know, is this team finally turning the corner?
Look, I don't want to say, I mean, now I look back a few weeks ago and I was saying, okay, like, we might be pretty good. Yeah. I'm not one Cowboy fan to like jump the gun and say, oh, we're winning the Super Bowl, we're winning the Super Bowl, we're winning the Super Bowl. We joke around about me being biased, but it's obviously a joke. I like to consider myself like a fairly reasonable Cowboy fan. Obviously, there's obnoxious fans for every fan base, but yesterday's game really showed me a lot as a Cowboy fan, and not only a Cowboy fan, but someone that works in the game and studies these teams. And I look at the game yesterday, and let's flat out get this straight. For 4 quarters of the game, I want to take out overtime because the Cowboys did play good in overtime, but the Cowboys did not play good yesterday. They had 115 penalty yards, 2 turnovers, a missed field goal, yet they overcame all of that and won a game on the road in Foxborough against Bill Belichick. That is a very, very, very difficult task. And after that game, after the sort of the adrenaline went away, I sat down and I said to myself, look, great teams always find a way to win even when they don't play well. And I think that was the best sort of way to describe the Cowboy game yesterday, because that was the only sort of thing that I needed the Cowboys to prove to me that they were legitimate. Was, okay, give me a game where the team battles adversity and not everything's going their way, and you got to battle that out, yet overcome it all and still win a game. And that was sort of the final test for me. And as a Cowboy fan today, I could not be happier, really. Like, this team has exceeded so many expectations of mine, and I was pretty high on this team. I remember a lot of you guys gave me, let me have it in the comments when I think I predicted about 10 or 11 wins for the Cowboys this year. I think that they're on pace to completely shatter that. Like, this is a very legitimate team, and you look at last game and you look at even the 5 games previous, like take out that week 1 game. Greg Zuerlein misses. If he does his job, kicks 2 field goals, the Cowboys could be
undefeated
with the Cardinals as the only undefeated teams in the league, right?
Easily, yeah.
And I don't think it's a stretch to say, after watching that game yesterday, like this team, the sky is the limit. They're on the offensive side of the ball. It's very, very hard to argue that there's a team in more control of their play than the Cowboys offense right now. It just seems like that I know the Patriots, they had their way for the first 3 quarters, but like the Cowboys scored a touchdown on the 1 yard line. The refs, I don't know why they decided not to even review that play. That just boggles my mind. And then penalties just derailed their play. Regardless, that offense has so much potential to be like an NFL great offense. Like it's crazy. And obviously I might be getting ahead of myself here. I'll hear what you would say, but when I watch that offense, it's like pick your poison. Like, who are you going to stop? Look at Dalton Schultz emerging from nowhere. Yeah. The guys could put up an 1,000-yard season, right? Even without, and they don't even have Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's still going to come back after the bye, but like that's just an added element to this offense. It's like, who are you going to stop? Pollard, Zeke, both top 10 in the rushing right now. It's really ridiculous. And as a Cowboy fan, hey, this team keeps going. I'm just going to sit back and I'm enjoying every single second of it. Every second of it.
Must be nice. Must be nice to be able to watch your team win. I wish I knew in week 1 what kind of rare moment I would have been witnessing when the Dolphins, like your Cowboys, won in Foxborough. But when I look at this Cowboys team going into the season, I said Dak Prescott is in another league compared to the other 3 quarterbacks in that division. So I thought the Cowboys would have a fairly easy job to win the division. Now, in my eyes, that is not a successful season when you have Dak Prescott. You need to do more.
Absolutely.
My one concern was on the defensive side of the ball because they have maybe the best passing attack, if not the best, in the entire NFL. The rushing game is back, like you said. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Zeke's back. Like it's fair to say.
He never left.
Yeah.
He never left.
I think he
last
went,
year
at least
he was
a little
rushing,
vacation.
He was running behind.
He was on.
Yeah, he was a little vacation. He was running behind. Yeah, he was missing his tackle, missing his guard. His center was poor. His right tackle was gone. Hey, you try and grab any running back to run behind the offensive line we're putting out last year. They were doing nothing. Back to your point.
Zeke's back.
Yeah.
The offensive line, like you said, last year was a down year, which was rare in the. I don't remember the last time Dallas has had a bad offensive line as bad as it was last year. And this year, they're definitely firing on all cylinders. So offense, like you're talking, like you said, like an elite high-level offense, very, very rare in this league. Few teams are gonna shut this team down, if any. My main concern was the defense side of the ball.
Yep.
And now they've completely exceeded all my expectations there. Micah Parsons has been a revelation, whether he's playing at defensive end, whether he's playing at linebacker. You have another rookie pass rusher in there, and I would love if I could pronounce his name, but it starts with an O.
Osa Odigizua.
There you go.
Defensive tackle. Yeah,
he's been incredible. Randy Gregory yesterday was making a ton of plays. All this is without DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
And Trayvon Diggs. How can you not mention 7 interceptions in 6 games, which is crazy. I mean, Xavier Howard had 10 last year, and that hadn't been done in 10 years. And now this guy's already have 7 running halfway through the season. Now, I will say this about interceptions. They are hard to replicate. Look at Xavier Howard this year. He only has 1 interception. He's still a great cornerback. It's very hard to keep that production. Then again, he keeps on doing it every single week. A couple people I was reading yesterday on social media were sort of having their way with Diggs for his coverage. I think he does rank near the top in the league in yards allowed, but I don't think it matters because when you're a ball hawk like that, you make such an impact on the game when you can create turnovers and get the ball back into your offense's. That's where you want the ball.
Of course, that was
bleed the clock with Zeke and Pollard and get it in Dak's hand. That's where they do their damage. And Trayvon Diggs is the perfect corner. I read one take, and I haven't told you this yet. I wanted to have a live reaction on the podcast. I read someone call him the Jameis Winston at cornerbacks yesterday, just because it's so like...
Because he had gave up one touchdown?
That was feast or famine with the guy. But I don't know. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's playing out of his mind. He's probably defensive player of the year. He's right at the top of my list. If it's not Myles Garrett, it's him so far. So my one concern with the Cowboys, they've blown me out of the water by, and that's why, when I'm looking at contenders in the NFC, I think there's 5 real, strong candidates right now, and I'd say with the Cowboys, I'd throw the Cowboys in there as a team to come out of the NFC completely. But I'd put them with the Rams, the Buccaneers. Of course, the Cardinals are still undefeated, and the Packers.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many teams that are championship caliber coming out of the NFC, and it's almost like it's come full circle, because you look back at the AFC, beginning of the year, everyone's like, oh, the Chiefs, you got the Bills, you got the Titans, you got the Ravens, you got the Browns. And then there was like, on the NFC, people were like, oh, the Bucks and like the Packers. And then the Rams traded for Stafford. But like even the Rams were sort of like going under the radar almost. Like they weren't getting talked about that much. I know there was hype for that week or two after they traded for Stafford. But hey, like, I don't think, first off, the bye week the Cowboys are on bye week right now, but like it could not have come at a better time. They're going to get Gallup back soon. They're going to get DeMarcus Lawrence back soon. And let's be honest here, like, is there a team that is in control of their game more than the Cowboys right now? It's very, very difficult to say. You look at Dak's last 16 games, 5,138 yards, 34 touchdowns to 9 picks. That's like an MVP stat line right there.
That's the last 16?
Right, that's his last 16 games, right? That's a 5,000-yard passer right there. And
wow.
You go back to Diggs, 10 picks in the last 11 games. You look at Lamb's last 2 games. He's got 13 catches for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns. Zeke in 6 games got 650 total yards, 6 touchdowns. Like, this team is finding their stride. You got Micah Parsons, who's emerging as this star. You got Randy Gregory, who is putting up numbers, and he doesn't even have DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side of him. So like there is serious potential of this team, and they're striding right now. People say, "Oh, don't peak too early." I truly believe that the Cowboys is the best Cowboy team that it has yet to come. I strongly believe that, and we're gonna look back at this. Maybe I'll either look like a clown or I'll look like a genius, but I don't like to get too far ahead of myself, but I really do have my hopes high, and I think the Cowboys are sort of off that NFC East. They're looking about the 1 seed right now.
Yeah, I think that should be the goal, because they have the easiest division by far, and,
absolutely.
And they have a pretty manageable route to that 1 seed. It's going to be tough with the Bucks, because I feel one of those teams will steal a win.
Who knows?
But hey, that could easily happen in the NFC East. It's a long season ahead as well. You mentioned the peak too soon, and that's, I always harp on that. I'm always, the team that wins is not the team that's playing their best in week 6. It's the team that peaks at the right time.
The Bucks last year.
But the one thing I'll say with the Cowboys is, I think because of where they were at last season, and because they have a lot of young pieces, both on offense and defense, they're still sort of figuring things out. It's very important to just sort of fire on all cylinders all throughout and build momentum going into the season.
Yeah.
Whereas, call me crazy, the Chiefs, I think they're going to be fine. I don't know. That defense looks bad, but I can see them I've seen this story too many times.
Yeah, of course.
Look at the Bucs last year. They were struggling. I could see Mahomes putting together some sort of Cinderella run later on in the season. But I think for the Cowboys, you want to be playing your best football every single weekend, and I agree with you. I still think that they can be a little bit better. They were a little sloppy yesterday at times. They were sloppy the week before in the Giants, and they still ended up winning in a blowout. So that's what good teams do. You mentioned earlier, you find a way to win, even when sometimes you shouldn't. But Dak's been great. You read me his stats in his last 16. Is he your MVP so far, or is he not quite there?
Okay, I want to say this. Statistically, right now, I don't think he's the MVP. I think you probably got to give the edge to Kyler Murray, even though he did play a little subpar the week before. You can give it to Josh Allen too, who's he's been incredible. I know sucks for you to see that because you got to play him twice a year. But
I can't believe it. But.
Yeah. There's a lot. It's probably like a 5-man race realistically right now. But you look at Kyler, you look at Stafford, you look at Brady, Allen, and then you have Dak in there. Of those 5,
no love for Lamar Jackson.
No, right? Don't get me wrong. Lamar's like right out on the outside with like Herbert and Aaron Rodgers, and I mean I'll put Joe Burrow there. I think Joe Burrow's like that sneaky sort of contender. Lamar's been great, guys. Don't get me wrong, but right, like you're talking about MVP here. Obviously, it's a lot of recency bias in these MVP talks, but look at MVP's got to be almost flawless every single year, every single week, right? And Lamar's been flawless the last week and 2 weeks, but don't get me wrong, he's a 66-yard field goal away from a loss and a Blankenship chip shot from being...
If he's not injured, that's
of course, that's a field goal. And, I mean, week 1, 2, he fumbled 3 balls. He fumbled 3 times. So let's not act like he's been remarkable. He came back brilliantly against the Colts, but I don't think it's fair to the other 5 guys to have Lamar Jackson there right now. Don't get me wrong, he could be there towards the end. But going back to my point, even if you want to put Lamar in there, let's say 6-man race. So you have Lamar, Kyler, Dak, Stafford, Brady, and Allen. Of those 6, is there a quarterback that is in more control of their game right now? I really don't know if there is a quarterback that's playing with so much confidence. Yeah. Like he looks night and day from you look at even just 3 years ago. Like he just playing with so much confidence. He steps up to the line and I've never seen him. He calls these audibles and he's reading the defense and he just picks you apart. It's crazy. I've never seen it before. I really have not. And I was blessed to see Romo for 10 years as a Cowboy fan. I do believe that Romo is one of the most underrated quarterbacks that I've seen in my generation. But man, like Dak has been playing with a boatload of confidence right now, and I don't think it would be crazy to say that he is maybe the front runner with Kyler or Josh Allen right now. I don't think that's crazy to say.
I just think it's such an open race right now. Yeah. And in past years, we haven't had that. If we look to a year ago, I think at this point, everyone was saying, oh, it's Russell Wilson's year, which has kind of been a trend early on in the season. But really, after he sort of tailed off, it was a battle between Rodgers and Mahomes. And it was just really a 2-horse race. And this year, there's so many great guys. But the one thing about the MVP, and you mentioned Lamar, it's interesting how the narrative goes with quarterbacks because, and I'll say this about Tom Brady too, plays that are out of their control, they tend to impact their the view of them league wide. I mean, he had nothing to, he drove them down the field. He converted a beautiful 4th and 19 or something against the Lions. Yeah. When Justin Tucker hit that 66-yarder. So credit to him there. But if he doesn't hit that 66-yarder, he probably gets criticized for losing to the Lions. You see, that's not, and that's sort of out of his control. His win against the Chiefs, if Owe doesn't strip that ball, who has been a stud, by the way, as a rookie for the Ravens, if he doesn't strip that ball from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mahomes gets the best of him yet again. That narrative hangs over his head. Oh, he can't beat Mahomes. He can't win the big games. Yeah. So, MVP, it's a quarterback-driven league, but there's 53, 56 guys on an NFL roster, and all of them have an impact. But a lot of the times, just the nature of the position, the quarterbacks either get all the praise or all the criticism. But if I had to pick right now, it's hard to go against Kyler because of the undefeated start, and I think he's really transcendent. But Josh Allen and the Bills have, I think, impressed me more in the way they've been winning games. It's really remarkable to see the strides that Josh Allen has made since like just a few years ago. I personally was not one that was crazy high on Allen. I knew he had the intangibles, he had the big arm, and he had sort of I remember there was that running joke. He looked good in shorts because he was like a prototypical like NFL quarterback. But
when he turned on tape, like he just didn't have it. His accuracy wasn't there. He was like a 50% completion percentage quarterback in college and even in his first few years in the NFL. And then boom, he just makes these strides and he's been playing remarkable football. And there's no doubt about that. It goes back to your point. I don't think we've had an MVP race that has been this wide open.
Yeah. Through 6 weeks.
Through 6 weeks, right? Usually 6 weeks, like there's the top two sort of start to emerge and sort of split away as of recent. But right now, man, like, I don't know. And I think that's what makes this season so great, because there's so many teams that are capable of not only winning a championship, but also getting hot. Like you said, the Chiefs. I don't think anyone would be surprised if the Chiefs just go on this remarkable win streak and bring right back. Even like you look at teams like the 49ers. Like the 49ers have been that great, but like the 49ers are another team that are capable of going on a run. You look at, like, give me an AFC team. Like, look, okay, I know the Chargers have been great. Don't get me wrong, but like, the Chargers have potential too to, like, they're a young team. They could get hot late in the season and they can make a run for it. Like, this is a really wide open race when it comes to a championship and MVP. It's very hard to say who the front runner is right now, but I think if your answer is none other than like Kyler or Josh Allen or Dak, maybe Stafford, then I don't know. I would have to disagree, right? So, man, it's a wide open race.
Yeah,
it's a wide open.
A lot of good players in MVP contention. MVP of the first CTB episode is, I gotta say, this cup of coffee you brought me this morning. It's cold now though, so it's pretty disgusting. But I don't even drink coffee. It was good coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker.
I think MVP is this
MVP
light
is the
right
neon
here.
Sign maybe,
or maybe the helmet.
Maybe the helmet's pretty good. I might, if the Dolphins make the playoffs, I'll do a whole episode with the helmet on. I've put it on before. It fits the head. So.
Oh, if the Dolphins make the playoffs, Thomas is going to come here with his shirt off and he's going to break through this table maybe.
It's not going to happen. So why even talk about it? But like I said, coffee's cold. We've been talking for a while. I think that's going to do it for the very first episode of the Catch the Blitz show. Like I said, catch us every single Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We're in for a big year. We're gonna have a lot of fun, a lot more content on YouTube. So you definitely won't see the last.
We're gonna try and pump some YouTube videos out, and this is the first time we're doing this YouTube thing. So I know that I'm pretty sure liking the video is a pretty good thing. It helps push it. So I mean, if you had some fun watching this, and if you have some ideas for us, hey, feel free. Our DMs are open, comments are open. We like to sort of read those things pretty often. It's fun to hear you guys, your opinions and stuff and what we like to talk about, right?
Yeah, if you made it to the end, thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah,
for,
man,
almost an hour, and we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy.
All right, awesome. Let's go, baby.